Hey, my name's Franco, and I'm here to walk you through the job time entry add-on for ServiceM8. This add-on was designed to allow staff and users to be able to retroactively add job time back into a job that they forgot to check into at the beginning. So this is a common thing that happens. Staff member rocks up on site, they start doing the job, and halfway through the job or even after the job they realize they never checked into the job to begin with, and so their time recording is not captured. Typically in that scenario, a business owner or an admin needs to go into the online dispatch board, go into the job, go into the time entry recorded fields and manually enter the missing time entry. And as you can imagine, that's kind of painful for admin and business owner staff. So a more convenient option would be is if the staff member themselves had the power to go back into that job and add or modify their job time entries and the job that they forgot to do it for. So let's have a look at how this looks from the iPhone. And if we open up a job, once your job time entry add-on has been enabled, it will show up in the action toolbar. I've moved the icon to the very beginning just for convenience, but if you don't see it there, you'll be able to find it in your actions toolbar. This will launch the add-on and bring up the main screen. And now we can see that it's divided into several areas. At the top, we have the job details, so we've got the customer name and the job number along with the job site address. Now when you're on the mobile phone, flicking back and forth between the ServiceM8 mobile app and the job time entry add-on, it's going to save you from doing that because you know that you're in the right job. You can also click on that info area and it'll give you a bit more details. For example, in this case I can see the job status, in this case it's a work order, and I can see the job category, and anything that might be in the job description also shows up in here, so that's convenient. Next we've got the tabs. So we've got two tabs. We've got the time entry tab and we've got the checklist items tab. With the time entry tab, we begin with the two buttons at the top, the when. This is the type of time, so like when did we start the job or when did we finish the job. So depending on which option you choose will depend on when the time entry is going to be calculated from. If I, for example, say I started at 11:47 and I spent an hour, then it's going to assume the start time was 11:47, so the end time must be 12:47 p.m. in this case, and that's how that works. But let's say I finished at 11:47 p.m. If I put in an hour, then it's going to know that I must have started the job from 10:47 a.m. an hour earlier than the finish date time. So you've got a couple of options when it comes to inputting the time duration. If you click on these fields using the mobile phone, it'll bring up a number pad and you can just type in the hours and then type in the minutes and you're good. Or you can use these quick set buttons and just tapping the button will increment the hours by 1 and the minutes by 5. So let's say I know that it was an hour 30 minutes, so that's a really fast way to enter the time duration. If I get this wrong, I can just quickly reset and just re-enter the right amount of time. So let's say it was an hour and 35 minutes. There we go. Now that's set up. The next thing I've got is the notes. So I can put in any notes that I want. These notes will be entered into the job diary along with the summary of the job time entry, which is handy for the admins to see when you're retroactively adding time. So let's say I've just put in this note. Okay, and once I've done that, I can click submit. So let's do that. And as you can see, because I chose the finish that time being 9:30 and I chose an hour and 35 minutes, it knows that I must have started at 7:55 a.m. So I click OK. And it comes back and tells me, yep, that time entry has been submitted now, and to check the history to make sure it was recorded properly. So let's go ahead and do that. Now something new for this add-on is that we've got these two extra menus down the bottom. These launch different menus to show you different things. In this case, I've got the check-in history and I've got the missed check-ins. The missed check-ins are basically the job bookings or the scheduled bookings that were made against you that you forgot to do. In this case, I didn't have any missed bookings. Hypothetically, I would have if I'd been booked on this job. I would see all the missed bookings. That's just informational only. You can't do anything with that, but you can use it as a guide. Go, oh, these are the bookings that I missed that I need to come back and retroactively add time to. The other one is check-in history, which is a bit more exciting, where I can actually click it and I can see all the previous time entries that I've made against a job. And not only can I see them, I can now delete them. So if I make a mistake entering a time entry, I can actually click it and choose to remove it. So let's say I want to remove this one was not right. I put that in by accident. I can delete that time entry and it will delete that time entry from the job. Gone. And if I come back into the check-in history, it's no longer there. And I can do that for any of the time entries that I've got. Also, what you'll notice is that it's going to give you a calculation of all the time that you've spent in terms of the time entries that you've added. So in this case, I know that I've recorded a total of 2 hours and 35 minutes against this particular job, against these 2 time entries. What you can also do is save these to the job diary. So if I choose to save, and it's going to ask me, do you sure you want to save this check-in history to the job diary? I'll go, yeah, sure. And it's going to go away and save my job check-in history to the job diary, which might be useful if I'm going to remove some time entries and I want to make a quick backup to make sure I know which ones I have removed and which ones I leave. So that's maybe a good idea to save them first before you go and delete things. Okay, so that's the check-in history. The next thing is, once you've done the time entry and you've submitted it, you'll notice that this button here is changed to new entry. And if you click it, what it effectively does is it refreshes the app so that you can submit a new time entry. And we did that by design because of the way ServiceM8 works in the background. We want to re-authenticate your app every time you want to submit a new time entry. Okay, let's have a look at the second tab. And the second tab now has got a couple of things going on. First, we've made it so that job time entry integrates checklists that ServiceM8 have released. So if there are any checklist items that have been assigned specifically to you, then they will show up under the My Tasks section of the checklist. If there are any checklist items which haven't been specifically assigned or assigned to you, they will show up under the Other Tasks section. So let's say, oh geez, I should have included some of these things during the time entry that I made before, so I've actually made a mistake. So let's go back and remove the check-in that I did earlier. So this one, 7:55, and now let's go and do it again, but this time we're going to include the checklist items that we forgot to include. So we're going to change the date back to the 11th, and we know that it was at 9:30. Right, and we know that we spent 1 hour and 35. Okay, and I'm going to put in completed the installation. Oops. Okay, and now I'm going to click on my checklist items, and I'm going to include the things that I forgot to include the first time around. So I'm going to say I did do this thing, I did do this thing, and I am doing this thing, and I didn't do those things. So I can now include those checklist items as part of the time entry. And you'll also see that there's this add to billing. So some businesses want these checklist items to also show up in the billing area, which used to be called the work completed area. If you're one of those businesses, then you can enable that setting, and those action items will now become bullet points on the billing tab that you might be used to seeing. So now I'm happy that this time entry is correct. So let's go and submit the time. Yes, that's correct. Okay. And now it's gone and submitted the time just like it did before, but this time it's included the checklist items as well. So just to make sure that the time has gone back in, there it is there. I'm happy with that. So let's flick back into ServiceM8 and see what actually happened on the job. So in the job diary, everything that we did, as you can see, has been recorded into the job diary. We go back to the beginning, we can see that I made my first time entry, and then I decided to delete that time entry because I forgot to add the checklist items. Then I resubmitted time entry history. I also deleted a time entry because I made a mistake, and then I resubmitted a new time entry for the same time and date, but this time I ensured that the correct checklist items had been done, and then we can see that the checklist checked off has been completed during the time entry have also been completed in here. So that's pretty much the long and the short of the job time entry. We're pretty excited about how this might help you as a business in terms of making sure that you're recording the correct time into jobs, and we hope you have fun with it.